Sharks are up next, and I guess the theme has always been their inability to knock off top 4 teams. I think they beat 1 all year, or top 8 teams even. But you got to say, did you find them disappointing this year, or you got what you expected?
Kind of what I expected. By the end of the year, where they finished is pretty much where they deserve to finish, I think. It's that 6th position, and they were never really going to be a huge threat in the finals. They might have had one good game in them, and they put up a pretty decent showing against the Roosters, but just couldn't find enough points, which is concerning considering they were top of the pops for pretty much all the attacking stats going through the entirety of the year. 14 wins, 10 losses, a for and against of a positive 122. 4th with points. Points scored. They ran 4th with an average of 25 points a game, and they averaged 20 points against them. Completion rate was a big one. They finished 11th, which was never good. Handling errors 3rd overall with an average of 9 handling errors a game. Penalty conceded, middle of the road. Ineffective tackles, middle of the road. 1st for errors. Like, that's just what they made errors and missed too many tackles compared to what they were putting out. But you look at line break assists, they were 2nd. Try assists, they were 1st. Kick return meters, they ran 2nd. Run meters, they ran 2nd.
How can you be first in try assists but not 1st in tries? Surely someone's assisting most tries.
No, that's average points against.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So. They're on averages as well, not totals, because I thought generally averages work out better
compared to
compared to totals.
Okay.
Because there's teams that play more games than when going into the finals, because these stats are updated all the way through the finals.
Right through finals. Fair enough. Carry on.
So I went with the averages there.
You sexy little mathematician.
But yeah, line break assist, 2nd try assist, 1st with 4 a game. They were equal with Brisbane actually. Brisbane had 4 as well, but the end of that. Kick return meters 2nd for Kennedy, who missed, 4 or 5 games at the back end of the year. So he could have even been up there with Edwards if he kept playing for the rest of the year. Tackle bust, they were 4th. But then you get into penalties conceded, they ran 3rd. Line breaks, they were 2nd. Like, everything was positive in the attacking stats, but the errors given away, penalties conceded, and ineffective and missed tackles were what let them down at the back end of the year. Like,
that's the story of the season. Is their awful defence at times? Like,
they got so loose at different times.
Like teams, and there's that Manly game where they got roped. There's a few others where
they make an error, give away a penalty, and then just concede 2 tries.
Untouched. Like, Graham will be here, and then the next closest bloke's over there, Shelley, and it's like...
The middles were a bit disappointing for mine. When Talakai's your leading run meters coming out of centre. I know he did a lot of work through the forwards, but...
Talakai had shockingly good stats for a bloke that I don't think had a particularly great season.
No, yeah, because it's so many hit-ups he does. He does two hit-ups every set, so he's making run meters left, right and centre. Line breaks, Ronaldo was 1st with 33. Hines was 2nd for try assists. Tackle busts, 5th, Katoa. Like, their attacking stats were fine.
Yeah.
Like, they had no issues scoring tries, especially against the lower teams. Obviously, they ran some pretty big scores up against the lower teams, but they did consistently score 3 or 4 tries every single week. But they let in 3 or 4 as well. So, and when they were beaten in the middle of the field, they got comprehensively beaten by their opposition.
Stats aside, but as a Sharks fan, how disappointed were you in this year? Did you expect better?
Yeah, there's some of the guys like Kafusi, I thought he'd come across from Parramatta. I expected a much better year out of him. Finucane was injury ravaged, but still probably on a little bit down on what I thought he should have been producing. Uele, another one, had a fair few injuries, but nowhere near how good he was last year. You could throw Rudolph in there as someone that was pretty disappointing. The middles there was Nakora and McGuinness really dragged this forward pack through this year.
Yeah,
to be honest, with a bit of sprinkle in a bit of Hazelton when he did get a go, and Jack Williams, who were positives that had pretty good seasons. But those they're their biggest 4 forwards in the middle of the field.
Yeah,
Kafusi, Uele, Finucane and Rudolph, and I thought they were poor for probably more
Most
of the
of it.
season than what they were good.
Yeah.
So
Look, they biffed off Moylan and ran with Trindle. I assume they're going to do that again next year. So it's another point of attack, and he was very good. every chance he got, Braden Trindle was very good.
Moylan, 13 penalties conceded. He only played half the season. It's 25th in the list or whatever it was. And however many handled and errors and fucking mistakes where he ran people into the ground, I have no idea. But some standouts, obviously, Brayley Hines, Mulatalo, Ramian. They all had
Don't
good
just brush
years.
over that. Blake Brayley, it was fantastic this year. As good a service as you get.
Tackles
anywhere.
his backside
And,
off. He's a little bit
did he
small,
lead
so he
the
gets bumped off a
tackle
bit.
count in the NRL?
Yes, he did.
1,004 tackles.
Yep, he did. He also led the ineffective tackles as well, which means he gets bumped off a fair bit. But when you're making 1,000 tackles and you're only ineffective with 40 of them, it's probably not the worst in the world. Mulatalo, Ramian, Nakora, and McGuinness, they were massive standouts. Like McGuinness had the back end of the year, he was carrying his team. Like he was just continually causing problems in the middle of the field, and he's their smallest forward.
Yeah.
And the likes of Rudolph and Ueli weren't going with him. Hazelton went with him, and Nakora stays stuck to his edge. So does Williams. Ramian had a fantastic year, I thought. Looks very, very strong, very fit. He's always good for a tackle bust and changing angles back through the middle of the field. Katoa had a pretty decent year. Tracy's an interesting one, what they do with him, especially
he's
with
another one.
Kennedy coming back.
They found Connor Tracy, and he completely changed their attack. He straightened them up much more. Like they relied.
Not that they were struggling with Kennedy at the back.
No, of course not. But they relied on that sweep play with Bubba Kennedy chiming in, whereas Connor Tracy made it much more direct, physical.
I'd like to see him play centre and put Talakai back into the middle of the field.
That's my next question.
But
What do you do for him?
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. Whether it's probably not a starting front rower either, but bring him on as that interchange front rower.
There's also
Give him
nothing wrong
40
with getting.
minutes.
I was going to say another one getting 50 minutes out of him off the bench. Just bring him on, let him.
Bit of impact.
Yeah.
He does have a handling error in him, but it's definitely something that's positive. But they really need to rethink with their big forwards in the middle there. I said they were probably too short to start the year, and the fact that 3 or 4 of them didn't aim up either, they had games where they got smacked in the middle of the field.
Your 2 starting props start for?
Rudolph would probably start for half of them, but
Half?
the rest of them, not so sure.
Couldn't
ULA
even-
might get a start in 4 or 5 of them, but
I think that's generous. I don't think if you go through, even look through bottom, he would.
last year he would have.
Last
This
year he
year,
would've.
maybe.
Well, if you were
probably not
bottom
many.
up, they wouldn't start. This is
Start
my
at the
point.
Dragons.
They'd probably
maybe
start
the
the Dragons.
Dogs. That'll be about it.
That's what I mean. Like they're not starting in front of Clemmer or Stefano. They're not starting at the Cowboys. They're not starting.
Might get us run at South.
Manly maybe.
Manly South maybe.
And South probably actually, ironically.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's concern. If I'm Cronulla, I'm looking to back Hazelton. They need a first hit up front rower.
Oh, he was fantastic too. Out
So
it.
like
He
get
did
him
a
on the
great
field,
job
get him out there starting, and get him up and going, and trying to get him to 45, 50 minutes as a starting prop.
Yeah.
Keep going with Brayley. They're getting 80 minutes out of. You almost better, and it's almost like turn Finucane into what Jake
Graham's
does
gone now.
Finucane's now his job is to be a prop. You can go out there, you're going to tack your ass off and
Tackle.
and it's going to be you're going to be our Jake Turbo.
McGuinness plays 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And build back. But Brayley was outstanding. I agree with you. I'd be playing Tracy in the centres. And they've got enough strike out there. The rest of it, Ramian,
Katoa,
Mulatalo, should be every bit as good as any other edges in the comp. And they need to get that. They need to be building around that. I think, but they are who they are. They're gonna keep being that 6th, 7th team for the near future.
Well, their wingers let their forwards have a bit of a rest as well. So there's really no reason that they couldn't have stood up and had a bit more impact through the middle of the field. Because generally the first or second hit up was always Mulatalo or Katoa or Talakai.
Yeah.
So you only needed to have 2 hit ups in a set, like make them 2 good ones.
Exactly.
But
how optimistic are you?
yeah, I can't see them pushing into the top 4. I can't see them falling too far out of the 8 either, but probably 2 or 3 positions either way for the next
They're
year or
one
two.
team
They
that
really need to strengthen their middle.
Yeah, they need to probably go out and look at someone like a Sipley, even if you're looking, on that level, or go and find a real big gun from
Yeah.
from somewhere else. But they're not really big gun shoppers, are they? They just chug along in their lane, don't they, Cronulla?
If they can get ULE back to where he was last year and Rudolph back to where he was last year, then they're at half a shot. But they still need another one or two to go with them.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, and a defensive coach.